Angela Giles here with another episode of Savage Angel, and I have the most amazing Jason Leadley here with me. And I had a conversation with him, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and he was on the beach. He was having a great time. Jason, I'm so glad to see you in studio today. Why don't you the introduce yourself to our audience and share where you were when we last spoke?
Well, thank you very much, Angela. The last time we spoke, I was in Maui. I was on a work vacation. So we'll just say that it was a work vacation. I was studying for an exam, but also I needed a spot where I could relax and focus. And transition, as kind of our discussion is going to be about today. I needed that spot to where I could focus and think of things in a different way. And what not a better place than staring at the beach, at the ocean.
So
So
I'm
that's
so
where I
glad that
was.
you were able to enjoy your work vacation. I just got back from a beach myself. I was in Florida, Treasure Island. Absolutely love it. I think I was about a block and a half from the beach. So every day I would walk over there and just sit there, and it was magical. So, Jason, why don't you share what you do? And let's have a conversation today. I think it's going to be really interesting, some of the topics that we've been talking about.
You got it. Yeah. I'm a principal broker or a managing broker for the state of Oregon, and I've been doing this for about 22 years. I started as most agents do, just learning and trying to get a grasp of the markets and how things were. And even when I started, I knew how much knowledge it would take to be
Yeah.
really a professional in this environment. So now, 20 some years later, we're transitioning again, and we've got this new generation that's coming up that we're working with, and I'm coaching and training and mentoring and learning
Yep.
myself as an
So
agent.
it's really
So
interesting, Jason. You
there
you
you
say,
go.
this new generation that's coming up and you're coaching, mentoring. I remember back in the day, so I think we might be the same generation, Gen X, right? Where I didn't grow up with the cell phone, but I love tech. So I remember the first time I got on a computer, and it was at Boeing. Most people are familiar with Boeing, a big, huge airplane company. It was in Seattle, and I got on a computer, and I thought I knew how to use it. Like, it was a Mac, but it was something different. So I'm like, on my resume, I'm like, oh yeah, I've done Mac, you know, Word Word documents. Well, it was something different. I misunderstood. So I come in and have to learn this whole thing. And I think I was getting paid $8 an hour. And I was thrilled back in the day. But after that, I'm like, okay, I have to learn tech fast. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to dive and talk about is, you know, AI and how it's impacted you. And I know you teach people it too a little bit. So let's dive in. Let's talk about that and talk about the generation that's up and coming and how they're different than how we used to be and grew up.
Yeah. I mean, and it really is. It's these new catchphrase words are coming in. And when you said Boeing, the first thing I thought of is I remember Boeing in Portland and Seattle as well. I remember them
Ooh,
creating
I
a
don't
thing called a
that.
spanner wrench. So nevertheless, that's what popped into my head. Something that's different. And now, in the environment of Boeing, and it's a very common thing. So using a tool, something that is created, something that is
Mhm.
new, becomes habit. So that's what we're doing now. And right now, what's happening is we've got a reperception of how we're going to work. We've got another big word. We've got to
Yeah.
like George Bush, you say strategery. We've got to right. We've got to create these new words, these catchphrases, these environments that we're going to work in to make them benefit us. And that's what we're doing today. We're changing our perception so that we are future proof
So, how
in
do
the work
you
environment coming ahead.
feel, or what are
So
you seeing right now in your area, like in Oregon? How are other agents that, maybe didn't grow up with tech? They use ChatGPT, they have a phone, a smartphone, and they know like the basics. But are you finding that people are really embracing AI, or are you finding that there's a little bit of fear or something in between? Yeah.
you've got something in between, and you're right. We'll just say that the Gen X, Gen Z, there are, and I know we like to do that. We like to say our generational gaps are affecting us. Our generational gaps are different ways of our thinking of how we move forward in personal and in our business life. But in the business life using AI, you don't have to be afraid of it. We weren't afraid of the cell phone. We might have been afraid of the 8-track player, because it was a bit bulky, but all things phase out. So AI is just that newest tool. It's that newest Walkman. So yeah, it's going to take a little time for us to get used to it. The only difference is
True.
how quickly it moves. It's not like, right? It's not like we're, to our reference, we're cruising down the beach in Florida or in California or Hawaii with our Walkman on, and then our Apple iPad or iPhone right on our arm. This is a generative item that is continually growing and changing at exponential speed. The tape deck, the CD, those came on for years.
Months.
We're talking about
Well,
months
you know what's so
where we are right
interesting
now.
that you were talking about that is I actually was in a class. I was learning what they call AEO, which for those of you who don't know, most of you know what SEO is, right? If you get on Google, you want to rank high so your business shows up. AEO is similar to SEO in the sense that it's if you're on ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and you want it to recommend your business, you have to understand how AEO works. And then either do it yourself or hire an expert. And I will tell you, Jason, this blew my mind. So two things from this. One is what I learned from an expert, Perry Belcher. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's really well known for getting to things fast, right? Like all the new trends. And he was saying, what we're teaching in this class may change in 90 days, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing he said is most only 12 point something percent of websites, so think business websites in the United States, have schema that's actually put in place correctly so that these AI agents can crawl it and recommend your website or recommend your business. And I thought, wow, only 12%. So think about that, right? People search like ChatGPT and Grok and all of Claude and all of those 4 times more than Google for things that they want. Recommend it. If it's a movie, if it's food, if it's a business, whatever. In fact, Google just started doing ads on TV. I've never seen that before. And I'm sharing all that with you, Jason, because it's like you have classes where you teach other real estate agents, correct, on how to use AI. And have you even heard of that? Like
Yes.
that statistic that blew me away. I'm like, wow, how many businesses can I personally help do that? Because I do marketing, sales, and AI, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's brand recognition. I mean, we would say before, are you going to make a, if you were going to use the copier, you used to say a Xerox. Are you going to Xerox something? If you're going to get a tissue paper, you'd say, are you going to get a Kleenex? You would say now for this, the last 10 plus years,
Not
15, we would say,
anymore.
are you going to Google it? Not anymore. We're transitioning from that. And that's exactly it. The transition as it happens at this record pace, it shouldn't scare people, but it
Well,
does.
it's at
And
the
it's just
speed,
at the
and then
speed
you
that it's
have to
happening.
understand and be really honest with yourself. If you're running a business, do you have what it takes to like learn and implement, and or are you setting aside resources that you can employ, like hire people? When I say employ, I mean like hire contractors, whatever, an employee to be on top of this stuff for you. Because I really believe, and this is just me, and I've been in marketing 23 years, so I feel like it's, I can wear a little bit of a hat here. I feel like if you're not willing to do that, then your business can go by the wayside in the next few years. I mean, that's brutal and hardcore, but that's how I feel with the speed of what's going on right now in the AI space.
It
Yeah.
replaces inefficiency. And you have to recognize what the inefficiency is. If it's time management, if it's your personal management, again, it's inefficiency and you're asking it to create something that doesn't exist for you. So that's how if you switch that mindset and that it works for you,
So talk to
then
me
it
a
will
little bit
be able
about
to
the
help.
people that are in your classes. And you said it's kind of a mix on how they embrace AI,
Yeah. And then, yeah, I
right?
mean, we'll say it's generational. I mean, I'm 51 years old. There's agents that are older than myself that were around, we'll just say before the internet, right? When we had the big giant real estate book, when it was the book on a desk, and now, right, it's a computer, and now it's thinking almost thinking on its own when you ask it its questions. So based on that, We've got an agent that's 21, 22 years old, that didn't go to, that finished high school, didn't know what they wanted to do, and have found this as a profession. I've got bartenders who are in their 30s who now are the top agents in the state of Oregon who have implemented and now use this for their advantage. And again, so you've got a generation, you've got young to old all over the place. It's just how they're going to
So
use it and embrace
talk
it.
to me about someone else that
So
might be a real estate agent that's listening and or even just a business owner. What would you recommend, especially as a teacher? What would you recommend that they do in terms of learning AI and doing it quickly?
the first thing I'm going to do, and
Mhm.
this is and I did this as my example, asked it to um I gave it all the information about me that I could think of as my position. What do I do daily? I'm a realtor. I was writing it down. I'm a realtor, 22 years old, or sorry, 22 years in the business. How can you sharpen and make my business easier? I was very layman terms. And then it would give me a response. And I would say, okay. And then I built on it again. And I said, how do I increase my production based on what I just told you? I would say answer as another principal broker who has 22 years experience in Oregon. So I would bring it down even more. My funnel was getting smaller and smaller to tell it what I wanted to learn and
Wow.
how to get better at it.
That's amazing. So it's almost like you treat it as a tool to learn you and as a tool to instruct you. It's so interesting. So this is fun. I bought a course, right, when I was first dabbling in AI, and I taught myself from the course how to build my own bot, right? Because it's all, so now I have my own Savage
Yes.
Angel bot. It's all about messaging. Like it teaches you messaging because that's marketing, right? Like messaging and all the things about me. So it's got my head in it. So now my students, if you call that my clients, they get access to it so they can ask questions of it. In fact, I even have a friend that's what he did. He's been in business for well, he's your age. Well, he just turned 50 and he's got a bot and it helps business owners in every area of business and her name is Emmy. So it's pretty cool. And I think that for me, I love the fact that people can develop bots that they can use themselves or they can have their clients use. So, if you're sleeping and your client needs something, they can go to your bot. I love that. I think that's really cool. But it took me like 12 hours to build it because I was learning. And now it's like, well, you know, it might take me an hour and a half next time. But at the end of the day, I think that that's really important for people is you can use chat gpt but you should be training chat gpt about you or build your own bot or have someone build it for you. I mean, I think Tony Robbins is doing something right now where they teach you how to build a bot and it's like $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen the infomercial on that as well. And we're all
Mhm.
so there you go. That attributes to it. Even motivation speakers are using it. And that's the appropriate term. It's
Yep.
not using them, they're using it
So,
to
one of
get
the things
better
that you
at their
shared with
job.
me, and I thought this was really cool because we were talking about the downtown Portland area and all of the things going on down there. And I was asking you, do people want to like actually live down there anymore? And so you were talking about how you developed or your team developed this other area to live in and how you use social media to like, you know, make it sound wonderful. I would love for you to share us a little bit about that, and also, like, did you use AI to do that, and how that's developed? I think it's really cool, and other real estate agents could do something similar in their own area.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
we would make it about lifestyle. So one of them is it's a new construction subdivision down at the Oregon coast, in Cannon Beach, one of the top rated beaches around. There's been several articles as of late. Haystack Rock is there, and there's elk running around and whatnot. But the idea was just those words right there,
Yep.
Haystack Rock, which is where the Goonies come out at the rock and they do that's where this
Wow.
subdivision is. It's literally at this rock. But that's what we did. We used a lifestyle and used just those words to use in social media. So I would take the Acola Point subdivision. I would talk
Mhm.
about Haystack Rock, connect the two. I would connect local businesses and talk about them. And then we would go back and forth. It built the algorithm up. So now each one goes around and talks about the other one. Every time I'm at the coffee shop, I check myself in on the Google, give them a 5-star review. Thank you for the coffee. I met Jimmy today. And then Jimmy posts on my website or on my Facebook page for the
Mhm.
subdivision, and now we have synergy. It moves forward. It literally built marketing from right there. And then when you do a Google chat, or I'll say the AI chat on all of those, as soon as you go to search that, because now it becomes,
Mhm.
it's not a blog anymore, it's a vlog. So it scrubs the internet to try to find those things about it. And it's the very first thing that pops up. Jason Leadley, realtor. Ecola Point, subdivision, the wine shack that I was at purchasing wine before I
Yes.
left. See how it
And
happens?
that's the
It
thing that's
literally,
so cool about AI now is it scours the internet. Anything that it can find on forums, on places, on social media, and it ties it all and brings it together when people are doing searches, which I think is incredibly awesome. But I also think that there's two things. One, as a business owner, you want to think about how can you become omnipresent so you're everywhere. It's not as difficult as you think, especially when you have AI to help you. But the second thing is to pay attention to what's going on with your online reputation, right? So, for example, if you've gotten some negative feedback or negative PR, you want to like handle that. And the same thing with positive stuff, you want to handle that too. You just want to make sure that you know what's going on. So, I highly recommend as a business owner that you're going into different AI like ChatGPT, Grok, like there's Claude, all of them, and search your name like once a month and just see your business, what is going on, what is being said, and how can you find experts to help you increase your presence and or if you have anything that you need to handle handle it. I say that with
and what you need to do, and you're right, you,
have someone
but
else.
don't have
Yeah,
you do it
that's
because it knows you. It already knows your searches and it knows that you're going to come up. So you have a friend or a colleague do it or a group.
oh
And we did
tell.
that last week in one of our classes. That's what exactly we went around the circle and did the hot seat and said, you look me up, you look at what comes up when you search my name. And it is fascinating. And you're
Mhm.
right. It's the good, bad, and indifferent, whatever's out there. And it might not even be you. You might have the same name. Someone has the same name as you,
Right.
and then they come up.
Right. Well,
So
it's
then it
so
crosses.
interesting. So I have a client that I've had for years. It's a related to me. So, I tell this person all the time, you need to handle some of your stuff out there that's not indifferent. And he's like, yeah, yeah, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, you need to handle it. And I sent him a message yesterday. I'm like, you got to handle this with all this new AI stuff going on. It can impact you in a way that you don't want it to impact you. Right. So, yes, it's
It's
very,
revealing. It's revealing. And you can't hide from your past, as we now, our other
that's
catchphrase words
true.
is, the internet is forever, and now it is. And no matter what, even if you're from a generation of before, the internet and this now in AI, it's going to get out. And that's okay. We're all people. We're all different, and we all grow up, and we're mischievous and we're fun, and different things are in our
Well,
life.
that's true, and
It's
I
just now
always told
using it
my
moving
kids
forward.
when I raised them, right? I mean, I raised them when the internet became a thing, and I always said, "Whatever you don't want people to know, you don't put out on social media." And they're like, "Oh, well, you can delete it." And I'm like, "No, you could delete it, but Facebook, for example, still has record of that." That's how they help the FBI and different things find different things, find like there's a whole thing that goes on behind the scenes. That data is forever, so don't be putting stupid stuff out there, right? You can as a business owner, it's great, you can look people up, and I think with the advance of AI and looking people up, I think you're gonna learn more than just, in the past, even without having to, like, hire a company or something like that, I just think you can find a lot of things, so, you know
And it's going to there's a little caveat to that is again when you're doing the searches and other people are doing the searches currently, and I think we discussed this too, that when AI searches, it searches from the front. It doesn't search from the back line. So if you've got a website that has 3 links on it, and those 3 links to 3 links, it doesn't go that
currently.
far currently. It just stops on what it if there was an article about you, it reads what the article is, and that's what it says. It says if you were in college, this is where you went to school. Those are out there too. It doesn't go deeper and say you
Yeah,
took
well,
political science
I
class and you
got an
got a
A in
D.
that, but I got a
It doesn't
D
go
in
that far.
physics with calculus. I did so bad. So then I went into physics again without calculus and I got an A. So I'm like, yeah, calculus and physics together was not my friend. So I'm just putting it out there now. So, when it gets there, I know what you mean. Yep.
When it finally
Yep.
goes that
It's
next
so
spot,
interesting.
that's exactly
So,
what
Jason, is there anything else that you feel like you want to share about AI, about the real estate market? Any tidbits to other business owners, other real estate agents, or even people that are thinking about looking at, becoming a real estate agent in the future?
Sure. I think if we look at it as a whole, these micro trends, again, these words, these phrases that come up, if we look at it as a micro trend and we agree that it's a transition that's happening right now, and you do it by little bits, again, a micro trend. You just do something to learn, you do something to advance, you use it, not the other way around. Make it a resource for you in any development that you want to do. If it's your business and you want your time back in your day and you want 2 or 3 hours, ask it. How do I get 2 or 3 hours back in my day based on this situation? That's how you've got to use it. And again, you can use it across the board that way. It will run smoothly when you do that. It will adapt just the way you do because everything that I've done in the last 6 months with it is antiquated now. It's out of date. My tasks that I now have turned off because they're irrelevant to what I do. And every business owner will do the same thing. We talk about people's jobs being lost. It's not that they can be lost if they adapt to it and they look at it a different way. How do I bulletproof my job so that I don't lose my job?
Well, I
Use it that way.
it is
Just
true,
be
and the thing is
resourceful.
too, and I heard someone say this once where they talked about how, AI use AI in a way that it can take care of all the repetitive, boring things in your life, so it frees you up to be more creative, to do the things that you love the most, right?
And ask it and tell it that. How do I do it? And ask it to give you different options. It's just like anything else. Again, it's the more you use it. It's like we're talking about, it's strategic potential is how you're going to use it. So if you use the strategery, George Bush Jr. again, if we use those words and phrases to tell it what we want it to do, it's going to be okay. If you did say real estate, and one of the things is how do I make my open house run more effectively? In the address, use the statistics that are available. How do I scrub for current competition, my comparables that are out there on a listing appointment, or after we get an offer? You can start to use these data
Well, I
points
think
to
that's
your
so important,
advantage,
and
and
so
that's
can
with
I
any
add one
business.
other thing that I think is kinda cool with ChatGPT? So I learned this yesterday because I didn't even think about this. You can actually, if you want to ask it what you should wear for an open house, for example, you can load up your whole closet, take pictures of each item, put it up there, and it will match things for you and tell you what outfit based on your closet you should wear. I'm like, my goodness, this is the coolest thing. So it really truly can help you in almost every area of your life. Mhm.
Staging of properties, your own. You're sitting. I did this one a few weeks ago. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm looking at. I have the floating shelves. I have 3 floating shelves with the little knickknacks on it, and I was staring at it. So I took a picture and I sent it, and I said, "Update this to my surroundings of the color palette that I have in the house." And it redesigned it and showed me all the pictures. It took me a week. I went to Goodwill and Facebook Marketplace and replaced all the knickknacks,
That is
and now it looks
super
just like
cool.
the picture that it
Jason,
created.
this has been amazing. This has been a blast. Any last tidbits before we sign off?
Thank you for having me. For one, I really appreciate your time. You've been very generous. I hope that this helps people in at least looking at AI differently, that they don't have to be afraid. And it is here, so use it to your advantage, and use it to learn and try to make it best fit your
That. And
life,
so
not the
for
other
our
way around.
listeners, I just want to let you know that Jason is going to share his website right now, and then all his other contact information will be below this episode. So, Jason, please share your website.
You got it. It's Jason
Perfect.
Ledley at caldwellbanker.com. I'm easy to find. You can again Google or AI me. I am a realtor managing broker in the state of Oregon, soon to be Washington, as well. Again, that's what I was studying when we were in Hawaii. Multi-state. But yeah, but thank you very much for having me. And again, any questions? It's easy to find me, as I even tell my cousins who are now little kids. Like you can find me on the internet.
I
It's
love
really
that. Well,
easy
this
to
is a
jump on.
wrap. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you on our next episode of Savage Angel.